From FingerLakes1.com, this is Inside the FLX. I'm your host, Josh Durso, and today we have Geneva City Councilor-at-large, Mark Gramling, in studio. He's here to talk to us about some of the headlines coming out of Geneva in recent months since his last visit to the studio. Mark, thanks a lot for coming in today. Obviously, a lot going on in Geneva. Talk to us, if you will, about what your feelings have been sort of coming into your second full year in office.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Josh. Yes, as you said, there's so much happening currently in Geneva. Right now we're going through budget, the budget process, my second one. We are well into actually at the end portion of the remediation for the foundry. There's collective efforts scattered about throughout the city for relief for the Puerto Rico, and there's the community compact is moving forward, and there's also issues that we all have seen and know about that we can elaborate on coming out of the police department. And so, there's a lot of things that's happening, very busy, but we're moving forward. Yeah.
So one of those issues seems like one of the ones that's been in the headlines the longest, the Geneva Foundry, the remediation efforts, the DEC. So give us an update on where things stand, where things stand with the DEC and what they're working on right now to make this right for the people who live in that area.
Sure.
Which you are one of, correct?
I am one of them. It's funny because when we first found out, and all of the photos that you saw, my house is right there, and I immediately said, I'm right there. I'm ground zero. So and so I'm in the corner of Center and Jackson, and it's been a long, difficult road at times. But it's with me. Obviously, I have two roles within this. A representative, also a person who was affected. So it's tough at times again. But I think I'm up to the challenge, and I've been moving forward. Very communicative with the DEC. The DEC has been moving pretty fast. And they're very thorough. So, dealing with the situation on the representation level, making sure the folks are heard, their concerns are heard, as well as, in my own home, right? And so, I have a wife, I have kids and things like that. So, it's like even explaining some things with my wife and my children and the process and things like that, and trying to keep that balance. I'm a Libra, so it's like I try to, hone in on that sometimes, so they're moving. They've started, they're on State Street with the two selected properties, which are daycare centers, and they finished those, moved along, and they came on Jackson Street right on schedule. Everything is right on schedule as they said, and they have gotten to my house and actually past my house and is back on State Street on the corner of State and Center. Obviously, everything isn't finished at my house, but they kind of simultaneously were doing my property and my neighbor's property. Actually, ironically, today I just left a meeting going over some of the details that they have to finish. On my property, they had to remediate everything. I mean, everything went. Not all properties are that way, but mine, all the trees, shrubs, Everything. So sod has been replaced. They put the binder down, cement down where it's needed, and they're getting ready to do my walkways and sidewalks And then probably most plantings will be done in the springtime.
Right.
And so because, we're far spent.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they're doing an awesome job. I gotta give it to them.
Yeah.
I understand the process because in my day job, I work construction for the utility company. So I understand the process and what it takes. So
yeah. It's not an overnight process by any means.
Absolutely not.
So another item, social media, law enforcement, this sort of
Sure.
debate conversation has been taking place since the social media postings of one Geneva police officer were spotlighted and then spread like wildfire, like many things do on social media.
Absolutely.
I guess I kind of just want to get your updated take on where things stand right now with that, but also I want to get into a little more of a discussion about social media and how
Sure.
that sort of thing should be handled. But update us on where things stand right now.
Right. And obviously I can't talk too much into where it is because
Right.
obviously there's litigatory process that has to take place and things of that nature. And, I don't want to jeopardize any outcomes. And so, but I have to say that I believe the city and GPD really got out in front where they should have and responded in the proper manner. And
Right.
I'm very, very pleased. And by far, what I've heard from the community is pleased in that. But as it goes further, folks can get restless and want to
Right.
know where things are, which is understandable. But as it relates to these types of happenstances, the process has to take place, and
Right.
so it's moving forward where it should move forward too. So
Now, getting back to the social media side of it,
Yes.
obviously this kind of puts the whole discussion about having a social media policy in the forefront.
Yes.
Is this something that you think should have been recognized and identified probably a while ago when social media started to really take hold?
Yeah.
Because now it kind of seems it seems
Yes.
like a reactive measure.
Right.
But kind of speak to where you stand, because you
Yes.
take advantage of
Yes.
social media as a way to
Absolutely.
speak to constituents, and
Absolutely. Yes. I am, I love social media. And I use social media based on the title, right? I don't use it as a misnomer where it's social media. I love interacting with people, right? But just like in general public, if you go to a bar, what have you, you're accountable everywhere you go when you represent, people, right? And so no matter where you go, you are looked at. I'm looked at as Councilor Gramling, I'm looked at, they call me senator, they call me mayor, they call me all kinds.
Right.
But the point is I'm looked at as an official no matter where I go. So my behavior better precede me,
Right.
In a positive manner. So I think, yes, as technology moves forward, we should highlight those things, and we have to be ahead of the game. You have to think as technology and times change. As a municipality, as a government, you have to try to move forward with the times. And I remember when I was running for office, I utilized Facebook, Twitter, and it's funny because I've never had a Twitter account. And I am a 42-year-old guy asking my 12-year-old daughter how to use it,
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but it's all, no matter what you use and how you interact with people, the way you use it, you can demonize a specific media or medium, or you can make it be positive to your advantage, So there should be a policy, obviously, with ethics and things of that nature. When you're in a company, there's always ethical practices that should follow, no matter where you go. So
Now, of course, this whole debate is kind of now hinging on should a public review board committee exist?
Yes.
Where do you stand on that? Because it seems like a pretty interesting debate. Should you have the outside sort of looking in?
Right.
Should you have a third party, an unbiased, in theory, third party?
Sure.
Part of that discussion.
Sure. So I'm definitely not against a review board. I mean, actually, there are many types of review boards. So when you're dealing with situations like this, where you have a policing agency who power comes to that. There's something I posted on Facebook that I said with privilege and power comes great responsibility, right? And so that goes across all spectrums in life, jobs. So with that, it comes responsibility, and if you have, not to say law enforcement doesn't have anyone to answer to, but sometimes perception is reality, right? And so when you have folks on the outside per se who can, I don't look at it as oversee, because when you use certain words, that's when people start shying away from things, right? Work with, right? And this is how I look at it. I know a lot of people look at these things in many different ways, right? Which is, I don't blame or demonize or anything how people go about a situation, but I look at partnering with, and even with law enforcement, the whole community policing aspect, and becoming friends, and I think if we understand each other, that's what a review board, I think, should reflect. Working together, not me looking down on you because you're doing wrong, or but obviously it's if we hold each other accountable for our actions, I think we can have a positive outcome, because I may be able to put something in place or bring to your attention something you're not even aware of, right? And so, as I alluded to earlier, working for a utility company, right? I work with a partner every day, right? And it's a dangerous, it's the fifth most dangerous job in the country. We found this out, right? So with my partner, we are accountable. I'm accountable for him, and he's accountable to me. Why? Because I don't want anything bad to happen to him, right? And so, and likewise, and even if a relationship in that department may not be so well, you still don't want to see something happen to that person, right? And so, if we look at these things in a different way, and instead of they want to be over me, there's no way I'm going to allow that person to tell me what to do. No, I am for a review board. And so, again, there's many types of review boards and how they come to fruition. And so currently, there's folks who are advocating for that. But with these types of things, there is a process in place that we will be talking about and trying to convey to the community, and with these initiatives and how they come to be. Now,
there are obviously, with all of these issues we're talking about, there's this sort of like socioeconomic undertone to it, and you have the racial divide, the economic divide. You have all these different divides, basically, that are severing these issues apart. Now, do you feel like Geneva is making the right kind of progress in that department, bringing everybody together and trying to move away from a really harsh divide?
Yes, I do think so. And I have to say this, right? So when things start happening and moving in the right direction, not everyone sees it all the time, right? Not in the beginning, because things start moving, and like if I react based on a situation, just say I'm on the outside, right? And I react based on a situation, but movement is starting to happen, but I'm still focused on the situation. I don't see that happening.
Right.
And so I feel like sometimes in a position like I'm in, and other folks who, it's our responsibility to be communicative to the community so that they can know that we are moving in the right direction. This is what we're doing. These are the things that we're pressing towards, right? And so that brings me to the community compact. And when that was revitalized, it's a long process, right? Yeah. And it was very inclusive. It was very inclusive of many, many people in the city, and many folks came out. But now, after they came out, they gave their opinions, they gave their experiences and things of that nature. Obviously, again, folks look at things in their own mind, how it's going to come to be, right? And so they're waiting, and they're waiting. But while they're waiting, things are happening on the inside, right? And so I really want to start being more communicative and being that segue to giving updates and things like that. And so, because I don't like confusion at all, and who does? But a lot of times, we judge things based on past experience. Obviously that's we're humans. That's how we act and react. So but in situations like this, moving forward, I think we are stepping in the right directions as far as and obviously, while we're making those steps, things are going to happen, as we've seen. Things are going to come up, but we have to continue going in the direction that we're starting to go in, because we deem that this is the right process. And so, because we deem that this is the right process, we have to not allow anything to deter us from moving in that direction, right?
Yeah.
So.
Now, of course, a lot of this seems to have kind of had a grassroots start, like a lot of community organizers getting out there and rallying people. And I guess what I kind of want to hear from you is what it's like seeing that actually happen, like in real time, because it's really impressive, honestly. Yes,
it is. And you have a polarized view of this, right? Obviously, right? It's historically that way, right? You have activists, you have people protesting, this is democracy. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Now, I'm not so much, I think I've grown a little bit, but I'm not so much of that, militant person, or, even understanding what activism is and what protests are and what they are for and why they happen. How does it come to place within our historical society, right? And so seeing such engagement in the city, I think, is a part of the process of the change. We had a big change in this country with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and all of those great leaders. But with that, there's a lot of things stayed the same, and a lot of things was normalized as well. And because of that normalization, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that exists currently today. So with another change, you're going to see folks writing articles in the paper, that is like really off kilter, and so that's their voice. I definitely don't agree with it, but my reaction to that, personally, I would love to talk to that person. That's my whole mentality is dialogue. My mentality is education. My mentality not to further separate, because that's why we are where we are in this nation, right? Them versus us. I don't think that's the right mentality to have to unify things and bring things back to where they should be.
Now, one of the things that has seemed to reconnect Geneva is the growth that's happened downtown.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of great things, especially
Yes.
during the summer. It's like
Absolutely.
every single weekend there's something to do in Geneva.
Yeah.
You brought a flyer with you, obviously,
Yes.
another event that you want to talk
Yes,
about.
yes.
So we'll get to that in a second. But first, what's your feeling on the growth? Obviously, another really successful year on Linden.
Absolutely.
It just seems to be going in the right direction for you guys.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about it.
Yeah. It's amazing to see the growth, and again, being born and raised in Geneva, seeing where it came from to where it is now, and the businesses, and the opportunities, and we've gone from not having opportunities to who gets the opportunities, and how we disperse the opportunities. So it's better to be in that position of how we get these opportunities out to the community, and just watching the growth. And it's not easy. There's a lot of hardworking people there in Geneva that are taking chances. It's not an easy thing to open up a business. It's scary. I'm sure. So but there's a lot of folks out there looking at Geneva as a very opportunistic place to take advantage of. And, it's like you said, Linden Street is becoming the center of downtown. And I even had an opportunity to play a wedding there with my band. And, it's just amazing. Some of the innovative programming that's happening, and some things of that nature that
20 years ago, could you have seen it coming?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And 20 years ago, my mind was to leave here, was to leave Geneva. 20 years ago, I was going to be moving down south. That was my plans. And, life happens.
Yep.
And I'm glad it happened the way it happened. And I'm very excited to see what's the rest of the story. We have the downtown revitalization initiative happening, getting ready to move forward. You see the new center. The Taste of New York getting ready to come to fruition. Folks are working right there at the center there on the lakefront, and looking at the models that.
How exciting is that?
Oh.
That in particular, the lakefront,
Yes.
the Welcome Center, Taste of
Yes.
New York. How enticing is that for people who live in Geneva and actually want to see more people come to Geneva to take advantage of the businesses?
That's so very exciting, and when folks, and I talk to folks, and I love sharing this stuff with people in the community, and they're like, okay, because you get some people like a little cynical, but when they can get a visual, when the governor came and he showed the whole model of what it's going to be, and then you hear about the players, Danny Wegmans and Constellation Brands, and the fact that we have this building sitting there on the lakefront that previously we weren't able to use as a community. Now we're going to be able to patron this place, and it's a beautiful building as it stands, and the state is getting ready to come in to make it even that much more for Geneva, and gleaning other folks who come in anyways, and making it a more vibrant place for visitors and things of that nature. So
the investment side from New York State, obviously, as an official leader in Geneva, obviously that's something you guys advocate for, but it has to be really reassuring to actually see the funding and the money and the dollars come to Geneva from New York State so you can do these things, right?
Absolutely. It's for a long time. There's been a lot of talk about, upstate New York and, down versus downstate, and, we should disconnect ourselves and make New York City their own state. And there's been real talks about that, right? And so finally we have the eyes of the government on us, and so we're no longer the stepchild, right. And so you see things happening in the Finger Lakes region, and you see things happening in Rochester area, Syracuse area, and so now finally, it's just a a message of things to come. I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that, this is just the beginning, and, hopefully we can tap into, even some more of that industrial portion of that to bring in jobs and careers that's very sustainable, and that's the important thing, having sustainability in this area.
Now, of course, that flyer, let's talk about and maybe even take a look at the flyer. Of course, talk to us about it. Walk us through what it is and what you guys are doing there.
Sure. It's a little short story where my sax player, Ken Foster, he texted me September 30th, which is my birthday, that morning, and he said, "Mark, we have to." And you see all the things that's happening over in Puerto Rico for Hurricane Maria, and he was moved, and we all were moved, but sometimes we say, what do we do? What can we do? And so he texted me, he said, "Mark, we have to do a benefit concert." And so I said, I'm with it. I began talking to him about it, texting him, and then I was talking to my wife about it, and we're getting ideas. I mean, this thing came together so fast.
So that was only a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And so he's like, don't do it today. Today's your birthday. But I'm the type of I couldn't help it, And with my birthday, I want to be with my wife, and I was with my wife, but I had my phone on the side texting people.
Yep.
And so I'm a graphic artist, so I put this together, and my heart was going out, and I began to call folks. I began to call, folks from HWS, Team Lift out of Rochester, New York, Love Geneva, Habitat for Humanity, Tools for Social Change, and Geneva High School, Geneva School Systems. They all said yes. Within a 2-day period, everyone said yes. El Moro's as well, and so Mainstream Band is headlining this benefit concert, which is taking place on this Saturday, October 21st at 8 p.m. at FLX Live on 427 Exchange Street in Geneva. Beautiful place.
Which is another one of those really exciting, interesting places that has popped up in Geneva.
Yes, it is. It's an amazing place. I had the opportunity to go to their grand opening with Danielle Ponder and the Tomorrow People. Just an awesome funk group, which that's what my band is, a funk group. So we are presenting this benefit concert with 3 different bands, included us, and a DJ. And what we want to do is we want to give room for folks who have family there to give their stories that night, and also we'll have a trailer there that the Geneva High School will be donating to for folks to come and bring their goods, and it will be toted to Rochester State Police Department on Scottsville Road, where the Governor Cuomo will be shipping them out from there to Puerto Rico.
Very cool.
And so, they're asking for specific items, because when you think about a situation like this and the specific situations folks are in, you have to be strategic with what you glean, right? And so we're asking for batteries, flashlights, portable lanterns, diapers, baby wipes, hygiene products, feminine hygiene products, and cases of water.
Right.
Those are very specific to the needs of the people. And they have to be wrapped in their original wrapping, and they'll be shipped out.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming in today. And I'm sure we'll be having you back. There's lots to talk about in Geneva.
Lots to talk about,
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. I'd like to thank Councilor Gramling, our listeners, and FingerLakes1.com for making this podcast possible. Inside the FLX airs Sundays at 7 p.m. on Spectrum, Channel 12, and is availavailable on iTunes, Stitcher, and the FingerLakes1.com app. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.